Well, we might get started now. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. I'm Wendy Kolanovic. I'm the Marketing Director at IUHS. I have the pleasure of letting you all know more about our medical doctor program alongside some of our current students. So I will just introduce you to our students that will be joining us today. So we have Jude here, he's wearing the red stethoscope. Peter in the scrubs, and Sivanyanam, he's actually provided us a photo of his IUHS student ID, which I hope all of you will be having one of those shortly as well. Basically, we've got Jude and Peter that are in the preclinical portion of the program, and Sivanyanam is coming to the end of his studies in that part of the program. So thank you all for joining us and coming to share your experiences with our guests today. All of these students are based in Australia, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So maybe we'll start with you, Sivanyanam. Maybe you want to tell something about yourself and let everyone know where you're at in the program.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Just a quick one. My name is K. Sivanyanam Kapusamy. I live in Perth, Western Australia. I'm a transfer student from another university and currently in Block 9-10 program. I'm looking forward to completing my MD degree before end of this year.
Thank you. And Peter, tell us a bit more about yourself, and maybe turn your, have you got your camera on? And
hello everyone, can you hear me?
Oh yes, we see you and hear you now. Thank you.
Excellent. So my name is Peter Mwabuke. I'm currently in Block 5, a very passionate medicine student with keen interest in cardiology. I live in Queensland, Townsville to be precise, and I'm a physiologist and also an ED registered nurse as well.
Thank you. And Jude, please join us and introduce yourself. Oh, we've lost him. Are you there?
Yeah.
There you are.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah. Okay. My name is Mwabueze Jude Onyemairo. So actually, Mwabueze is my first name, but Jude is easier. Jude is my middle name, but easier for everyone to call. So that's okay. So I'm in Block 5 in IUHS. My background is in biochemistry. I have a bachelor's and a master's in biochemistry, and medicine has always been a dream for me. I live in Queensland. I live on the Gold Coast. You know, some of you may want to come for a holiday on the Gold Coast. I'm here. Yeah, so I'm doing IUHS and I'm loving it.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's thanks for those introductions. Let's just get into the program and what we're here to discuss. So we're going to discuss the Doctor of Medicine program, which is designed to be a 4-year program, can be extended to 5 years. So when I do discuss it today, I will always be referring to it as a 4-year program, but you'll see that as we go through the presentation, it doesn't need to be 4 years. You can take a little bit longer than that to do it. And also the Bachelor of Science, Doctor of Medicine program, which is basically for the students that do not have an undergraduate degree fulfilling the prerequisites for entry into the MD program. So that we'll touch on that as well if you don't have a background for direct entry into the program. A little bit about IUHS. We are located on the island of St. Kitts in the Caribbean. We have a small study centre located there. You can attend it if you wish, but there is actually no requirement for you to actually travel to the island and study there. IUHS is a non-traditional medical school, so we don't have a traditional bricks and mortar college where you attend a campus every day. You don't need to travel every day in person or even relocate like many medical students need to do. And for this reason, we're a lot more affordable than other private universities. And it's more accessible because we bring the learning to you. So you can actually then, if you're in a remote location or traveling, you can always take your university with you. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail later. So you're probably wondering, how do we do that? Why don't we have a big campus? Well, our students are actually studying online and they are also accessing a large array of learning technologies to deliver all of that content to them, to wherever they live. The students are also attending live virtual classes, so it's not just self-guided study. They have access to professors and teaching staff live, and excuse me, and concurrently students are participating in a mentorship program where they spend time on a regular basis visiting with a physician mentor in a clinical setting. And doing that actually just consolidates all of that learning that's done in the virtual classroom. Following that, then the students proceed into the clinical training, the clinical portion of the program, which is hospital-based training. A little more with IUHS. It's important to note that we've been delivering this medical education for more than 25 years in a hybrid model of education. So we're combining the in-person and online studies. We're a global university, so we have students from all over the world. Majority of them are US, Canada, and Australia, but we do have students based in Asia and in Africa. So you'll meet a lot of interesting people along the way. At IUHS, we have our main office for administration in Canada, but we have staff in Europe, United States, on the island of St. Kitts, and in Australia, we have a staff member to help you on the ground as well, a support staff member, but you'll hear about him later in the presentation as well. So yes, global university, and we've been doing it for a long time. Our mission really is to bring medical education to more people across the globe and make it more accessible. Now, just a little bit more, some more information about IUHS so you can get to know us. It's important, very important to the field of medicine to know that the university that you're attending is appropriately accredited and listed in the World Directory of Medical Schools, which IUHS is. So I've listed the website there at the bottom. You can take a look at our status there and learn a little bit more about accreditation and for universities. And also, as mentioned previously, I said we have a small study centre and staff on the island of St. Kitts. It is presented here, and there's two photos. There are some two staff members and a student, and a small facility there. As you said, if you'd like to take advantage of some clinical rotations on the island or spend some time there, you're always welcome to study there. Excuse me. Now, just as we're going through what we actually offer, the medical degree, our greatest selling points that we'll touch on and our students will confirm for you all today is the flexibility that our non-traditional approach to medicine offers. So basically that flexibility enables people that are maybe changing careers or entering the MD program as a mature student to be able to manage all of those personal commitments as well as studying. And that in that way you can complete the goal of becoming a doctor in your own time, at your own pace, along with the support of the university. That's really important because you're all on your own journey. At IUHS, we support you to finish this goal and manage the rest of your commitments. So that would be one of the most important points about joining IUHS is our flexibility and our understanding of your journey. And I think Sivanyamanam, you might have a really good story about your journey and why you chose IUHS. And I'd like to hand it over to you to let us know why you chose IUHS and how it fits into your lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Let me just go through this lovely journey of mine. I would like to share a few main key points as to why I choose to transfer to IUHS for several reasons. Firstly, we all have individual financial constraints, whether you're a single or married with children and families. Considering being a parent for 5 children varying in age of 30 to 18 years old, with 3 of them still under my care and support. So, which can be incredibly stressful with financial burden. But with IUHS, in comparison to any other online medical school, the tuition fees are low and has got good flexibility of payment plans. It is great relief to have balanced financial outcome as a parent and as a medical student at the same time. Secondly, as a transfer student, I like IUHS online medical learning platform, which has most updated wealth of well-defined structured medical education. Comprises of a high-level teaching videos, lectures by professors from preclinical stage up to a clinical practice. That's amazing. IUHS Learning Platform is an amazing online platform covering every key aspect of a medical education you would need in line with Australian medical school curriculum and standards. I'm very confident this would prepare me well for Australian Medical Council exam AMC Part 1, Part 2, which most of the Australian students are aware, which I'm planning to do straight after my graduation. Thirdly, the IUHS online medical learning education is very flexible. I'm able to factor my own time management with family commitments and work, allowing me a healthy work-life balance, which is less stressful. Unlike any other online medical school, you may be required to meet strict deadlines. However, with IUHS, I have the flexibility to complete my degree at my own pace. In other words, you are the driver of your journey to achieve your dream goal as a physician. Isn't that amazing? And lastly, IUHS focus as a student-centered and available to support and guide you in every aspect of your medical journey. My communication with Associate Professor of Clinical Medicine Coordinator for Australia, New Zealand, and Asia Pacific region has been always approachable when I need support and guidance, which is a paramount on an online medical school like IUHS, which is I really, really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an amazing journey to be on, transferring from another university, raising a family, juggling work and the studies, and coming in as a mature student. He's a wonderful student, Sivan, and just to let you all know, to manage that. But it is possible. He is one of many of our students who manages to fit it all in. Peter, could you answer as well? We'd love to hear from you. Why did you choose IUHS?
Yeah, pretty much my brother, my elder colleague, senior colleague has said a lot of things that aligns with what I want to say. But in addition to what he has said, I love the innovative approach IUHS employs in carrying out their teaching in the field of medicine. So apart from the flexibility, which offers us the opportunity to make payments in on monthly basis and those sort of things, it gives you the opportunity. IUHS gives you the opportunity to study in your own time. Like sometimes, if I have work that is going to start at 2 o'clock, sometimes I go to the library 10 a.m. in the morning, and I do a bit of studies. I know Jude is very much aware of this. Like go sort of like 4 hours before my work time and do a bit of studies, and at the same time you go to my work. And this kind of opportunity, you will not leverage it in a traditional medical school, because they actually want you to be in there, right there, and do whatever they are doing, you know. And then another thing that is so fascinating about IUHS is how they integrate the technology into medical curriculum. Like it is so innovative. The technology we're using ranging from lectorium down to study center, down to exam masters, down to Google Calendar. There's a lot of platform that if you really want to study medicine, you can stay anywhere, even in the most interior or remote region of the world. You can study medicine with IUHS. And I will tell you the truth, all these platforms that I'm mentioning, you'll find it very, very user-friendly, very easy to access, and you don't have a lot of difficulties with trying to navigate them. And also, apart from that as well, there is another platform that they have, IUHS as well, they call this DSR Clinician. In DSR Clinician, it gives you an opportunity, you feel like you're just interacting with a patient, pretty much, you know. They give you a platform whereby you can clock a patient, you try to integrate what you are currently learning to practice. you know. So IUHS provides so much. In terms of rotation as well, you can rotate from anywhere in the world. Like I want to be able to rotate in Australia, which a lot of people that wants to study and work in Australia would like to do. Also, I want to try and see what international environment is like. So IUHS also gives me that opportunity. Like if I want to go for a 2 weeks elective rotation in India, I will be able to access that. If I want to go to my home country, which is Nigeria, for 2 weeks elective rotation, IUHS also can provide that for me, which is so wonderful. And so I'm so privileged to be here. I want to also say that one other reason why I chose IUHS, I'm a father of 1 year, 3 months old boy, and I've also got another one coming on the way. You can see how busy I am as a dad, you know. So without IUHS, tell me, how can I study medicine? I don't see any possibility of me becoming a medical doctor. This is a dream that I've nurtured growing up from a very long time, that I was not privileged to do that because of financial constraint down the track and a lot of family engagement. But now I'm grateful and I'm happy that IUHS has provided that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for explaining all the technologies that make your studies easier. And it is a handful having little ones. I'm sure a lot of us have them, and it's a challenge, but it is possible, as you said, because you manage your own schedule it to the most part. Finally, Jude, tell us, why did you choose IUHS?
Thank you, Wendy. I wouldn't like to go over what Peter and has gone through, but I will just add a little bit to that. Alongside what they've said, you know, affordability is a hybrid program that allows you to do a lot of things at the same time. You know, you can study, you can work, you can, you know, run a family with IUHS, which is wonderful. You know, most of us, when we got married and had kids, we thought the dream of medicine is gone until IUHS came. You know, so it's something that we will always be grateful for. You know, alongside that, IUHS have friendly staff, you know, and admin, so they are always willing to listen to you. This is something that, you know, most of us who come from, you know, Africa, you know, we don't have that privilege in our school. When we went to when we went to universities, you can't approach your lecturer anytime. No, you can't. You schedule an appointment, and they may not even be available when you go. You see, but that rapport is in IUHS. You have that friendly rapport with your lecturers and admin staff. You can talk to anyone, ring anyone, anytime, and they will listen to you. You see, so it's a friendly university, and I'm grateful for that. You see, so you are never alone. You never feel alone. You can always talk to anyone, from the dean to the registrar to the lecturers. Everybody is accessible, and that's one thing that is unique with IUHS. Since I've been studying, I've done a couple of degrees, about 3 or 4. This is the first time I can talk to the registrar at my own time. The registrar will ask you, when are you free for us to have a meeting? You see, so that is unique for me. That is wonderful. So it's something that, you know, you're not by yourself. You can always approach anyone, and they are happy to, you know, assist you. So IUHS for me is wonderful, and I'm happy, and I thank God for this privilege, you know, and I'm grateful that I'm doing it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is part of the point that's on the screen, the personalized approach. We're always looking at helping you, guide you, rather than push you through a particular timeline or a particular path. It's we're always working with you to make sure you can get to the end goal, because medicine is not easy. Well, thanks for that. So let's just get into the medical doctor program. Let's just look at it in a little more detail. These are the requirements for direct entry into the MD program. However, don't worry if you don't have these prerequisites, because we do offer the pre-med program or the extended 5-year BSMD, which covers all of these foundation sciences and prepares you for entry into the MD program. So basically, we've just got those prerequisites, and you can also catch these on the website as well, so you don't need to take notes. But just the last 2 points here are just explaining a little bit about ND program. It's based on the principle of systems-based learning, and it is a problem-based curriculum. So it might be better if I ask Jude to just give us an example of what is problem-based curriculum for those that don't know.
Thank you, Wendy. So problem-based curriculum is like a curriculum that integrates the real world problem, the problem that we're currently facing, in the world at the moment. If you look around, you can see that, like, cardiovascular diseases, obesity, infectious diseases, and a lot of them. So there are these diseases that we are facing at the time. So this curriculum is embedded in what we do in IUHS. It is part of what we do, and it prepares you for the real world. You see, because what's the use of being a doctor when you can look after your immediate environment, your society? You see, so this problem-based curriculum looks at your immediate environment. What are the problems in the society? What are the challenges? Cancer. You see, how do we tackle this? So this curriculum is a curriculum that is centered on the real world problem that we are facing, at the time, COVID-19. You see, so we have systems in lectorial. There is a whole lecture on that. You see, so there is a lot of information about real world problems, and this is what is problem-based curriculum.
Thank you. And Peter, that just to reinforce for everyone, systems-based learning, if you could just explain as well, how does that function quickly?
Yeah, system-based learning, thank you very much, Wendy, for that. Yeah. System-based learning is an approach whereby the medical school or IUHS has organized the medical education around organs and systems. For instance, the way when we want to discuss cardiovascular system, respiratory system, gastrointestinal system, or even every other or nervous system, we discuss the pathology of it, we discuss the anatomy of it, we discuss the physiology of it, and we also discuss the pharmacology of that particular system. So that is what system-based learning is. So in the context of cardiovascular system, for instance, if we're discussing cardiovascular, we can talk about the electrical activities of the heart, and at the same time we talk about the mechanical activities of the heart, and at the same time we talk about the medication you can take to solve the problem those solve any malfunctioning behavior of the heart. Physiology basically talks about the function of the body, right? So and the idea of physiology is for you to know what is abnormal from what is normal. So if you can know what is abnormal, you can fix the abnormality and bring something back to normal. For instance, if the heart is beating irregularly, you need a medication that we use to fix it. That is system-based learning. So while we're learning cardiovascular system, we bring the pharmacological perspective to fix it. This is what you will not get in traditional medical school, in the sense that, like, my younger sister is in med school as well. She's in the final year in med school, in a traditional medical school. They do pharmacology far away from when they did cardiovascular system. So sometimes it's quite difficult to integrate what is happening, what you've done in the past and what you're doing presently. So in IUHS, we bring everything together, wire everything together. It makes it easy for you to understand and very, very ready to function in the outside world community, like Jude has discussed, problem-based learning.
Thank you. That is an excellent explanation, as we can see here on the screen. When you enter the preclinical years where Jude and Peter and Sivanyaman are studying now, you don't just do the sciences as mentioned here as subjects on their own. They're all incorporated into body systems. As you can see, the gastro and renal, central and peripheral nervous systems, and it goes on, and you tackle each one as a whole system. And then alongside that, you will also participate in a mentorship program with the local mentor. And at the end here, you'll see the only blocks that aren't systems based are blocks 9 and 10, which are your time that you spend reviewing all your learning that you've done to date, preparing for any board exams or the final exam at IUHS. So when you're in this part of the program, I'm sure the students will agree with me. This is like a commitment that's probably in the realm of around 30 hours or more a week. I'm sure that they can tell you more in a minute. Jude, maybe you can explain what does a typical week look like for a student when they're in this part of the program, where you're at now?
Okay, thank you. That's a very tricky question, if I must say. Ooh, medicine is interesting. For me, it's a calling, right? So it's something that you have to love, what you do. You see, it's challenging, but if you don't love it, then you're just going to run away. But if you do, you enjoy the process. A week in IUHS, you could have up to 20 lectures in a week. See, sometimes you can have up to 20, sometimes a bit more, sometimes less. You see, so on that busy week, you have to plan your day, you have to plan your week. So in IUHS, every 15 minutes is important. Every 15 minutes you have to plan, you have to schedule yourself. Like Peter said, he goes to the library first before he goes to work. For me, I go to work first, then I go to library. You see, so remember, we are also family men. We have families, so you have to factor in all this into your day. You see, so make sure that everything is balanced, work-life balance. So I commit about, let's say, 5 hours a day to studies, 4 or 5 to studies, depending on the workload I have. You see, in block 01, it may be a bit tough, a bit bulky, but as you go, everything starts to come together. It starts to make sense. You start to develop your strategy. For me, I think learning is all about strategy. If you know your best strategy for you, your time that you spend to study comes down. You see, so in block 0 and block 1, I can spend up to 8 hours a day studying, but now I spend maybe 4 or 5. You see, and it goes down as we go further. So it's all about, planning. You have to plan your day and your week. You see, so bring time for study, time for work, time for family. And, you also have rest. You also have to incorporate time to rest. Peter knows me, I sleep every night. I don't read beyond 9 p.m. 9 to 5, I sleep. So it helps me to understand, it helps me to memorize, it helps me to recall. So I try to plan my day. I have 16 hours to work, I have 8 hours to sleep. So this 16 hours, I plan my study, I plan family, I plan work. You see, so I work full time. I do 76 hours every fortnight. You see, so that's 8 hours gone in a day. So I have the remaining 8. You see, that remaining 8, I apportion it properly. So that's how I use my time very well. I bring out 4 or 5 hours for study, the remaining for family and other things. So if you plan yourself very well with IUHS, you do very well. And also, you're not in a rush, right? So if exam is next week, or you can always postpone the exam a little bit. You can always tell them, I'm not ready right now. Can I move my exam by 2 or 3 days or 1 week? And you can always do that. The most important thing is to do well. Understand what you're learning is more important than finishing on time. You see, so I try to make sure I understand what I'm learning at the moment, to make sure that at the end of the day, because we're going to write AMC and all that exams, some people want to write USMLE, that's good. So you have to be prepared. So it's more important to the content, the quality is more important than the quantity. So that's just it's all about planning and apportioning your time properly. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. That is a really important point that every student I think I've ever spoken to has mentioned, that planning and organizing is the most important thing. Peter, you're visiting with your local mentor regularly. Can you tell the students a bit more, or our visitors actually, what that mentorship looks like? What is a typical session? What do you do? Do you observe? Do you help? What's it like?
Oh, okay. So IUHS has taught me something like understanding the concept of any aspect of medicine you're doing, right? So when I come into an office, my clinical mentorship program, so I do have sort of like a conversation with my mentor, and you'll be like, what are you doing in this block? All right. So I remember, I think it's block 3 when we did cardiovascular system and the respiratory system. So if anybody is presenting with any respiratory condition, he wants to ask me, what do I think, what is going on? After start by doing normal patient history, taking patient history, helping in doing vital signs, you know, sort of like blood pressure, taking checking the heart rate, pulse rate, and those sort of things. And at the same time, checking sugar levels and those sort of things. You're pretty happy with everything. He will want you to. My mentor will want me to present a case to him. All right. So when I present a case to him, my mentor will be like, okay, what do you think? What do you think is going on? Right. And then I'll come up with what I think is the diagnosis, which is similar to what we are doing in DSR. And if at the end of the day, what I think is the diagnosis is not right, he will correct me in whatever I've said if it is wrong, right? And then we keep progressing from there. I'll give you a quick instance. Someone came in with the increased respiratory rate of maybe like breathing up to like 35 times in a minute. And he was telling me, what do I think that is happening? What do I think is going on? So this person smoked cigarettes, and he said, what do you think the person smoking cigarette? And this is quite similar to what we've studied in the respiratory physiology, talking about chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, yeah? And they're talking about how the person will be having difficulty in gas exchange, those sort of things. And he said, what do you think we should give to this kind of person? I start thinking about the pharmacologic perspective, how we talked about using bronchodilators like Ventolins and those sort of things, you know, and I'll bring it in and you'll be so impressed. And he's surprised that as a first-year medical student is able to integrate this sort of learning into practice. And the reason behind all this is because apart from the fact that I have a little bit of medical background, but this is more related to what I'm doing in IUHS, in the sense that I'm doing the pharmacological perspective of the respiratory system. At the same time, I'm doing the physiological perspective of the respiratory system. All these things interwired together, I was able to come up with a reasonable answer and present my case to him every day. So that is what I do. I go to my mentor's clinic once every week. And the idea is to at least get 20 hours in a month. So in IUHS, you need to attend a total of a minimum of 300 hours before you finish your preclinical year. So by going 20 hours in a month, I should be able to hit over that 300 hours. And every day is different because case by every day people present differently. Sometimes we just see a lot of people coming with flu. Sometimes see a lot of people coming with cancer. Sometimes you see, when they come with cancer, a lot of times we do sort of incision of cancers and those sort of things as well. So it's quite different, but it's quite enjoyable. And you will love it for the fact that everything you're doing in class is being simulated at the training.
That's great. Yeah, and that's a huge advantage as well, as you mentioned earlier. Once you get to this next part of the program, once you're in clinical rotations, you're in the hospital setting, you've got that advantage having already had that hands-on experience. So this slide is just describing to you the last part of the MD program. So the year 3 are the core rotations, which are compulsory. You need to complete those before you move into the last 32 weeks, which are electives. And those electives you choose yourself based on interests that you may have uncovered while you were in the core rotations, and things that are areas of specialties that you're interested in pursuing. At this part of the program, it is a full-time role. You will have to expect to either reduce your hours perhaps at work or restructure another way, because it is, you're there to work alongside your senior physicians that you are rotating with. So just keep that in mind, that it is a demanding time, but is a very the most exciting and interesting time. While our students love being at this part of the program. Everyone loves to know where they can do the clinical rotations in Australia. At the moment, we are working on our official partnerships. So I haven't got them now because that is taking does take a while to put together. Though we do have students who are in lots of different states of Australia completing rotations, because we have a clinical director that assists the students in finding and their own placements. And at the moment, like, we have someone in South Australia just finishing up. One of our graduates did all of his in Victoria and is now doing his internship in Tasmania. So it's just up to you to work with us, and we find what your needs are and what your possibilities are, and we'll work with you to find your placements. But yes, we are hoping to be able to give you an answer of a few hospitals down the track in the future of where you can go, so you can plan better. But other than that, we are always there to work with you. As I said, our clinical director towards the end of those preclinical years will start working with you on these arrangements for where to go, and hopefully get them as nicely, neatly organized so that they're all concurrent as well. And we did touch before on the topic that if you cannot fulfill all of the requirements or any of the requirements for direct entry into the MD program, that we will offer you the pre-med year. This is basically the outline of what is the 1 year pre-med program that prepares you for entry to the MD program. These are the modules that you'll be completing. It is expected to be about a year, but again, that can be extended out if you need more time. Currently, we just have a student, she just finished this program, and in this May, she just started the Block 0 MD program, and it did take her a year, and she's happily moved into that program, having all the right foundation there. Just unfortunate she couldn't join us today because she's from Australia, and we have a few others that are in the program from Australia as well. So if you do join the university, we'll put you in touch with all of your peers within Australia so that you're all on the same time zone and you can all network and work together. So just to go back on being an international university, people often ask us where are IUHS graduates located. Obviously, we have some in Australia and a lot of students in the program now in Australia. This list is getting updated all the time. We have applicants now for Germany, so we'll have some graduates joining this list from Germany and many other countries. So it's a really interesting place to study. You meet all sorts of people, and sometimes these people become your lifelong friends. So we've got some nice stories out of the university where people even live together when they're doing the clinical rotations and move to different places. So yeah, it's an exciting and interesting place to study your degree. But specific to Australia, after you finish studying at IUHS, obviously you have a path that you need to follow to get licensed to practice medicine. So basically, it's straightforward. You have to register with AMC and you have to sit an exam and complete a 1 year internship before you can then move on to your specialty. I have listed the website there for the Australian Medical Council. You can check IUHS is listed there as an accepted medical qualification, and you can also read a little bit more detailed on the process. But I believe that your first step will be to complete an exam, which is about 150 questions long and about 3 hours. Long. So this is something that, just because you graduated from IUHS, that doesn't mean that you go through this process alone. We actually are very supportive of you. Our dean as well in particular guides you, and our academic team will help you prepare for this examination as well. So we have someone preparing at the moment now for it, and our academic team is prepping you because we have all the resources and experience with a lot of universities and a lot of board exam licensing exams to be able to be specific to say, look, this is what you need to do to pass this exam. And that's that personalization that we talk about at IUHS and helping you achieve your specific goal is that we can guide you on specifically how to get your license in Australia to practice. So now let's just get back a little bit to studying at IUHS. We've a lot of fabulous descriptions about the technology and the study center and what this all is. So this is our custom learning platform that our students use. It's basically a virtual university that you can take anywhere you go. As long as you have your computer and the internet, you can study. So we have all the interactive learning resources, there's calendars, there is a whole heap of stuff. I think we've have discussed it a little bit, and there's some screenshots here for you just to see what it kind of looks like visually. But Peter, can you just one more time just go through how are you using this? Like, I believe this is like the command center. You enter the study center every day and it guides you, but maybe you can just sort of describe what that's like to everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wendy, again. So this study center is just like a big, I would say, like a big engine room of IUHS students. So it has everything you need to become a doctor. So just like I said, like even when you're working in a very remote or staying in a very remote area, anywhere in the world, you've got all your materials. So IUHS, when you log into the student center, which everyone has access to if you're a student, once you have been onboarded, you have access to lecture slides. So those lecture slides, they have been apportioned into different blocks. I believe you must be aware now that IUHS has their block 0 to block 10. All right, so block 9 and 10 works together. So I'm currently in block 5. So literally, if I go into my IUHS and I click on block 5, it gives me all the lecture materials that I need in block 5 that has been used or that has been recorded from previous set or the set that were ahead of me. Yeah, and then but also there is a lecture platform that is called Google Calendar where I attend live lecture. However, you will not be able to access it from the study centers, but you can access that through your email address from sort of like your Gmail, that is Google Calendar. But however, in study centers, you have access to all materials you need, all the textbook you need, because you can go into access medicine there. You can access any journals, any research article that you need or any lecture videos that you need in respect to what you're currently studying. And then from study center as well, you can access lectorial. A lectorial is sort of like a tutorial. If you have gone to any other university, people have one-on-one tutorials or probably a group of people coming together to learn together. Lectorial is designed in a way that is sort of like reiterating whatever that has been said in the class by another lecturer or by another professor, you know. And it is being structured in a way that it moves sequentially. And the sequential movement makes the understanding of the material more simplified. So also, there are also past questions that you'll be able to access through this past platform. There are simulated questions as well that you can access through this platform. So sort of like the study center, just as the name implies, center, it houses everything you need to study in IUHS and everything you need to succeed as a medical doctor from IUHS.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is a good description of it. It's everything you need that moves you along sequentially is a great description of it, because just to recap, there are those video libraries, Lecturio, the patient simulator we mentioned before. There's no need to purchase textbooks. Some of them can be quite costly. We actually have them in the digital format there for you. You do get an onboarding process for this with the student support services staff. So this is why it was mentioned earlier that it's everything is quite easy to use because you are onboarded with that. You can schedule anything that you need, any help you need with your teaching staff. So really, you can't miss anything as long as you log in every day. You can't miss any of your deadlines either. And Jude, just recap one more time for us. What happens if you can't attend a live lecture? Knowing that it's a global university, we have people in all sorts of different countries and time zones. How do you manage that? Because Australia is sometimes quite on a different time zone to when maybe a professor in America is holding a live lecture. What do you do if you can't make a class?
Thank you, Wendy. Just like we said earlier, it's a hybrid kind of learning in IUHS. Everything is recorded. Even this webinar is recorded. So people who are not here can always listen to it. So in IUHS, if you miss a lecture, you don't have to worry. You see, it's good to attend lectures. We encourage you to attend lectures, so you can ask live questions, But if you do miss a lecture, it is recorded, and you can always go back and rewatch it. Honestly, sometimes I prefer to watch recorded lectures because I can fast forward it, I can pause it, I can rewind it. So sometimes I learn better in my own pace. Sometimes I just come back to the lecture later and I can re-listen to the lecture again. Also, if you want to ask a question, the lecturer's email is always there. You can send them questions and they will answer you. You see, you can form your study groups. You can have some small group of study that you can discuss your questions. So because Australia's time zone is a bit ahead of them, most of the lectures happen in the midnight. You see, so if you're awake, that's fine. But like I told you, I love my sleep. It helps me to, conceptualize better. So most of the time I take my recorded lectures and I do them in my own pace. Some lectures I fast forward it ×2 and it goes quick. Some I play it in a slower mode and I can pause it, I can rewind it. That gives me that pace I want. And honestly, I've always done well and I love that system. It's not something you get in traditional universities. Some lectures may not be recorded and you don't have that access to come back and listen to a lecturer again. You see, so that recording is just wonderful. In IUHS, everything is recorded and it's easy to go back. You can even go back like previous years, to look at lectures even before they happen. So if you're a fast reader, you can go ahead of your lecturer and listen to a lecture he has presented 2 or 3 years ago. You see, so that keeps you ahead in time. So you can actually plan yourself. You can even finish a block even before the end of the block. And
Yeah, I
you're
think
ready
that's a good point, that being able to watch lectures from the past, because once you come and are preparing to go into a live lecture, then a lot of students are already ready with their questions because they've read ahead or they've watched ahead and are ready for the topic presented that day. So that sort of technology that we're discussing that brings customizes everything to you was actually recognized last year in an international award ceremony. Our Dean, Dr. Andrew Mary is on the photo there. He flew to Dubai to accept this award. It really recognizes that we have been providing medical education through technology for a very long time. And it was a really nice honor. So it's not just something that we're saying, it was something that's recognized globally, that we are pioneers and leaders in delivering medical education through technology. So now we've gone through the program quite in detail. So let's just have a look at what this actually costs. I've written here what it costs monthly, because our monthly payment plan is our most popular method for financing the education. So the preclinical years are 1,400 a month. I think that's around 2,100 Australian at the moment. And there is a one-off enrollment fee of 3,300. Your clinical medicine years are 9,900 per year, or 825 a month. But what's not included are the hospital-based fees, because those fees are determined by each hospital themselves. And we just pass that cost directly to you. We don't make any additional fees on top of that. So it's hard for us to tell you what your clinical rotations will cost. However, it can range anywhere from $100 or $150 a week, all the way to $400 or $500 a week. So keep that in mind, that for those 80 weeks of clinical rotations, they also cost you a fee directly to the hospital, in addition to the tuition fees for IUHS. There are other payment plans that you can sign up to, and you will have a meeting with someone from finance to discuss all of your options when you get through the application process. And for those people that are interested in starting with the pre-med year and doing that year, that's $6,050. As we said, it is designed to be 1 year of study, so there is a $350 fee per month of study. Should you take a little bit longer, then yeah, that fee continues to be incurred. And the technology fee there is $1,000, but pro rata. So if you join in later in the year, you don't pay the full fee for that year. It is reduced. Now, if everything is sounding good to you and you're getting interested to apply, scan the QR code to head to the application page, because the first step to applying to IUHS is to complete an online application. Now, we've written here what you need to supply to complete that application. It's all of your transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation from physicians, and that will then be, once everything is uploaded and you've paid your $150 application fee, which is non-refundable, the admissions committee will take a look at your application and give you an answer, a letter of acceptance. So that process generally takes about 2 weeks, so it's not too long. We have intakes starting every September and May. So now would be the time to start having maybe some admissions consultations, gathering documents, and asking us any questions you have to prepare for the September start later in the year. While we're on this topic, Jude, you've been through this not that long ago. What was the application process like after you've handed in your online application?
Honestly, it was one of the easiest medical school applications I made. You know, I've applied to a few in the past. It was straightforward. Honestly, it was easy. Like I said, I was able to contact Paige. We had a session. We spoke. You know, she guided me through the application process. You know,
So this is the admissions director. The admissions director. Yep.
Yeah, the admissions director. I contacted her. You know, she guided me through it. You see, and it was seamless. No, it was straightforward. Even with my transcripts, because I did some of my studies overseas, so I had to send them. And like I told her, there is a little bit of delay, and she told me to, you know, since I've applied for them, I can start as long as the transcript will come before I graduate. You know, I had copy of the transcript which I sent to them, and they saw. But the one from my school, she told me that I can start, but as long as the transcript will come from my school before I graduate. And just within 6 months, the transcript came to them. You see, so there was no hitch or any glitch. It was straightforward, and I got my admission letter, and I was happy, and I started.
Yeah, that's that ability to work with you, because you do need the originals sent in from your previous institution. But that, as we said, that does take some time to come in, and that's we won't hold you up with that. We'll just let you get going. But Sivanyaman, you came in as a transfer student. Could you let our guests know what the transfer process was like?
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, very interesting experience when you come to the age of, I'm going to move from one medical university to another. Initially, I thought this would be a very, very difficult for an online medical school to, any online medical school to accept me, or accept my application. And that's it, it'll be end of my dream career. But to my surprise, I never knew IUHS. And I got to know IUHS through the professor. And to my surprise, the whole process, transfer process only took about less than 2 weeks. Amazing, which was beyond my expectation. And I would really greatly honor Dr. Andrew Murray, the IUHS Dean, and Dr. Degu, the Associate Professor of Clinical Medicine and Coordinator for Australia, New Zealand, and Asia Pacific region, was very supportive and very accommodating throughout the whole process. I would like to reiterate this because IUHS isn't like any other medical online medical school. You'll be supported throughout the whole process for you to graduate and achieve your dream career as a doctor of medicine. Lastly, but not least, after graduating from IUHS, if I would have given an opportunity, I would really keen to be part of IUHS to help and support any new student to succeed in their dream career likewise. Yeah, definitely. I didn't had any hard difficulties. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, wonderful. So less than 2 weeks. So there you go. That's what I said. It was approximately 2 weeks. And even as a transfer, we have to gather up documents and things. That's amazing that could all be done so quickly for you. As mentioned, you do have to pay a $150 application fee, but in appreciation of your attendance, once you've submitted your application and you've paid, if you're enrolled and accepted into the university and you commence, then we will apply a $150 credit to your IUHS tuition fee account for attending today. So know that that's something just to save a little bit of money once you start your journey with IUHS. And now, just as before we head into like some question time and see if anyone sent us any questions in, which I think there are, let's just recap some of the reasons to choose IUHS that we've gone through today. So there is no moving. We bring the university to you. We have this award-winning technology that all our students are finding very useful and easy to use. Our supportive and accessible team of professors and support staff. We're more affordable than your traditional university. The flexibility of the schedule, enabling you to tailor your life around all your commitments and your study is key here. And yes, no need to wait. September and May are our 2 start dates, and you can send in an application at any time. We accept them all year round. So if that's interesting to you, and I'm sure it is, contact us. We're happy to help. We're always available. Send us an email or a call. We can answer all your questions and guide you through the application process as well. So drop us a line if you'd like an admissions consultation after this event. We'll make a time to chat to you. Here we go. Also, please join us on social, follow us. YouTube has some student videos as well. You might not have caught those, and some testimonials. And on our Instagram and Facebook, we're always updating with upcoming events, alumni profiles, and anything else that's happening at the university is updated there. So scan the codes and follow us to stay in touch. And
also, new discoveries. I love the new discoveries. IUHS always tell us when new discoveries are made.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there is. We
In
do
the
like
world of
to share
science.
We do. I just want to see if I can head into the chat here just before we go to see if there's anything that we can answer right away, because we are heading to the end of time now. So we have questions about, so can you do rotations and work? Are hospitals flexible?
I can answer that.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So because I've got a few friends that have gone through this. I did speak to one of the students that is currently preparing to write AMC exam recently. I was having a chat with him and I said, look, how do you go about working and doing your clinical rotations? Hello, can anyone hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Keep speaking.
Oh, good. So yes, I was like, how are you navigating your clinical rotation with work at the same time? So this boils down to the fact that this is not a traditional medical school. It is quite flexible. So the whole thing has to be done with the hospital. If the hospital is happy for you to be flexible, so most of the time, like some hospital that are teaching hospital, they have routine already for their medical student. And in between those routine, there are gaps, So if you don't want to join the medical student, for instance, to do those rotation, they will be happy. Sometimes some of the hospital will be happy for you to come in between, sort of like you can do 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. So what that means is that if you're meant to finish your rotation within a year, it might take you more than a year. I don't mean that you can finish your rotation in a year, because you need 80 weeks plus for you to finish your rotation. But if you want to do like part-time rotation, I think some hospital it is acceptable. So maybe you can do like 6 weeks block, and then do your shift, go for your work, and do those sort of thing, and then come back and do 6 week block again. All right. Or maybe you can do 2 weeks on, or you do 2 weeks off. And then sometimes as well, I'm working in hospital setting, I can say that some people can do rotation in the morning and go for their normal job in the evening, which could be very, very daunting, could be very, very hectic as well. So it all depends on you. It is your pace, and you have to liaise this with your clinicians or the doctors that are supervising that are helping you to train or to learn.
Yeah,
I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. I think that was a good explanation. Hilda asked about the hospitals that are associated with in South Australia. I will have to get back to you on another message of where people have been in South Australia, because I don't have the list now. As I said, we have a clinical director that manages this, and I don't have that information to hand, but I will get back to you, Hilda. So we have got Richard asking about Queensland and internships and specialties afterwards. I don't think we are having.
I can answer that as well.
Yeah.
I can answer that as well. Yeah. So I'm based in Queensland, and I work with yeah. So the thing is, in terms of clinical skills, you gain clinical skills while you are doing clinical rotations. All right. And then I am not doing clinical rotation at this moment. I'm in block 5. I still got about 5 more to go before I start doing clinical rotation. And then in terms of finding an hospital to do internship, look, you are just like any other international medical graduate, right? If you go to the US, you're an IMG. If US medical graduate comes to Australia, he or she is an IMG. If a doctor from the UK comes to Australia, it's an IMG, international medical graduate. It does not matter where you graduate from. As far as you did not study in Australia, you are classed as international medical graduate, and you sit in the same platform with any other person. You are competing with everybody. And let me tell you, medicine, definitely, we all know that it's a field, it's an area that is always looking for people to come into. They are always short. They need people everywhere, you know. So in the light of that, internship, you may not get it in the bigger cities, like maybe in the Brisbane or maybe in Sydney, or you'll be able to get it around those cities, because, you know, and then, sometimes it might be a bit difficult to find, but whichever way any other international medical graduates are getting the position, we'll be able to get it, because we are all in the same pool. And I've seen a few people that have graduated from IUHS that are doing internship as we speak. You know, I'm in good communication with them, so I don't see it that difficult.
I think
so.
Sorry, I was just sorry to interrupt. The other point is, when you are on your clinical rotations, we've had cases that often happens, not just in Australia, but in the US, where it's also very competitive. IUHS students tend to shine amongst IMGs because of those mentorship programs, because of the method of study, because of the discipline you have to actually complete this program. And oftentimes they are offered an internship and a placement from where they did their clinical rotations. So keep that in mind as well, because there's often a career path that follows just because you have done really well.
Okay, I'll just add a few to that. Then I can take questions from Lee and Mokolo. Based on clinical skills, like Richard asked, we start mentorship from block 1. You see, just like unlike any other medical school. When I started my mentorship, everyone was amazed. How come you just started medical school and you're here learning clinical skills? You see, so like I can even tell you a lot happening in the clinical setting, just like a doctor, because I started very early to learn clinical skills. So I sit with the doctor like once a week, and we go through, we clock the patient, we diagnose the patient, and we prescribe medication. So I started learning that right from block 1. just before any other medical student started coming. You see, so before you finish preclinical, which is 2 years, you've learned a lot. You see, sometimes I work with the nurses, sometimes I work with the physiotherapists. We do a lot. I go around the clinic, you see, and I gain a lot of knowledge. You see, by the time I'm doing clinical rotation, you see that it's an added advantage to me because I started on time to do those clinical skills. You see, so I think it's a lot of added advantage for us, and also for internship and rotation. Like we have a representative who helps to organize that. You see, of course, if you have connections, you can go ahead and choose where you want to be. But if not, before you get to that stage, there is someone who help you to liaise in your local community, to start from your local community to write to hospitals around you. You see, so I've spoken with him severally, and he asked me to send him the names of hospitals around me. You see, so he's going to start that liaise with the hospitals around you and start to make those connections from where you are. So you don't really have to move. So, however, if you do move, there is somewhere for you. So it's not daunting. People have done it, and definitely, when you get to your turn, you will definitely get a place. So it's something to be encouraged and look forward to. Maybe I can take Lee's question about
Sure.
step 1.
Sure.
So we in Australia, we don't need to write step 1 exam for clinical rotation. You see, so we don't need to write step 1 exam. It's basically those in the US that do step 1. So for us in Australia, we just have to do our exit exam. If after our clinicals, then we go into rotation. You know, so for me, I think that's an added advantage for us. You know, even though we have a lot to study, like we're definitely going to write AMC, you know, so but step 1 is not part of it. So we just write our exit exam and we go to clinical rotation.
Yeah,
And
the exit exam is the IUHS final exam. That's set by the university, is what you mean by that. The exit exam is your final exam at IUHS.
Yes.
And just the next question about letters of recommendation for your application, that would be, you could even ask, because they have to come from physicians, that could be your local doctor, your family physician that you visit, or somebody else.
Your GP, your GP can,
That's right.
So there is a question from Lee regarding how to find a mentor in Australia. So I literally walked into a GP practice and I said, look, this is what I'm doing. A lot of them are happy for you to come in, and they're happy to mentor you, you know. However, if you're unable to find a mentor, IUHS also has got a platform whereby what you're meant to do in the clinical practice, they will be able to integrate that and simulate that for you through online platform. Also, IUHS as well has got like a partnership with a GP clinic in
Melbourne.
Melbourne. You need to travel down to Melbourne. I'm pretty sure that the clinical facilitator in Australia will be able to organize that for you. But in Townsville where I live, there's already an associate clinician that has a clinic here. And I believe also there's an associate clinician in Brisbane where Jude has been attending as well. So I think we are already making a lot of connections, and this will keep growing to bigger and bigger. And IUHS will be able to provide all those things for you as we progress.
Yeah, that's that personalization and working to find where you are at, and to take that burden of moving off you, and to see what connections we can assist you with and support you with to keep you at home with your families and keep things more affordable. Yeah, I think that's everything that we haven't actually covered. Jade's question about your undergraduate degree that you have, that you're studying with now. This is a academic admissions committee question. It's really hard to answer. We'd like to have a look at your transcripts and maybe have an admissions consultation about what we could do for you there. So we'll get back to you on that one, or reach out to us at info@iuhs.edu so that we don't forget to answer your question. But I'd like to just say thanks to everyone for joining us today. Thank you for all our speakers. You have been wonderful in sharing your valuable information and insights specific to Australia. Please stay in touch. As I said, any questions, reach out to us, and I hope that we can see you all starting with us in September later in the year. So thanks, Peter. Thanks, Jude and Sivanaman. We are wrapping up. We've gone a few minutes over time, so I'll let you all get back to your busy schedules. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Immaculata, you asked where we have mentors everywhere. Just like Peter said, we have mentors everywhere. So if you need any help, we have people who will help you organize that. So don't be puzzled, don't be frightened. There are people to help you.
Thank you. Thanks for catching that last question.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
Have a
you,
good night.
guys.